Hey, Thrind here, and I'm back with the Gamon Ux, our grand axe, ancient axe, sent to us by Ulfar Rolfenson. This is actually an artifact from Novgorod in Russia, and quite possibly used by the Varangian Guard. The reason we determined that is because also not only the shape is a little unusual, but you actually have hard iron, a hard iron edge that's been forge welded into this axe. Good friend of mine that likes to work with iron and steel, good blacksmith, No BS Blacksmithing on YouTube if you want to check him out. Adrian Watson in Australia copied this axe. Now, the only thing he did a little different, he accidentally turned the front up just a hair. It's kind of his own artistic thing while he was doing it, didn't realize it. So it's a little bit different than this axe. I think this axe has more of a straight line point at the top. We've tested this axe here, if you'd like to check it out, on male, not the actual axe here. The only thing we've done with the artifact, because he insisted on seeing it actually function because it's in such good shape, and it might have damaged the patina a little, not much, but other than that, the axe took no damage. We tested it on analog ballistics gel head, much like you see here. We've got our helm on it. A lot of people might recognize this helm. It's 16 gauge. I called it a transitional helm because it's not quite a Byzantine helm. It's kind of a bastard helm, I guess, so to speak. It's something that could have existed in between transitions between helmet styles. Whether it actually existed in this style or not, it's 16 gauge, it's from a needle shop. It's held up very well to all different kinds of attacks. We were able to pierce it with certain things, but after extreme denting and then being able to hit those dented out areas. What I've done is I've repaired the helmet here from the other axe test, and we're going to be using the replica by Adrian Watson, not the actual artifact. I would never hit actual steel with it. The only thing worse we've done with it is we hit some gambeson-like material over ballistic shell and an analog head, which of course, like I said, did no damage to it, and it still has quite a good edge, although you don't want to handle it to damage that patina. This axe here is a good representation of it. It can go through 1mm steel easily, but what will it do to a helmet like this? With a lower profile and being able to hit point first, not being completely straight, but being able to hit point first, you can see this one would hit point first too most of the time if you mount it the way it looks like it was meant to be mounted. So were they trying to do the military pick thing? Were they trying to give that extra percussion behind the very tip of the axe that cuts better than the rest of it? Even on the shield test I recently did, go by and check that out. My reply to Joerge Sprave's time-traveling Viking challenge, which I took it as a challenge. I built the Viking age shield, and I think it held up as well as the, well, I shouldn't say as good, but for its weight, it held up as well as the polycarbonate. And I think it would be a lot more effective in combat. But anyway, go ahead and probably check that one out. We're going to go ahead and try this one right now and see if we can actually pierce through the metal or if we get a better dent than we did in our previous test videos that were replies to Scalagram Nielsen. Because I did one about his Norman face helm, and this is very much like a Norman face helm other than it actually being articulated. It has the cheek plates and the back plate, which were something that could be common on a late century helm as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's get going. My first blow, and I know that you probably wouldn't be aiming here, but this is probably the best angle, because if you look square on, if we're square on with the actual helmet and I try to come down, unless I hit to the forehead and kick the head back, I can't get a straight overhead blow that would go down against the spine where the head doesn't compress easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack it from the side as if I got that opportunity, and I'm going to swing the axe as if I was using it with a shield. I'm going to let the axe head do the work and throw it out and whip it over and use the force of the axe head. This should give me a tremendous amount of power, and hopefully we'll get some kind of unique results than we got the last time that I had to bang out from the other axe head. Although you can see the cuts where the other axe head actually cut into this metal, not all the way through, but just scoring it. You can see a couple of punctures that were beaten out. They shouldn't make any difference whatsoever in this test. It still has most of its, I would say all of its strength. When I had to beat it back out, it took me about 2 hours to get it back to this shape. Oh! Don't know if it did anything to him, but we have a cleft into the metal that's extreme. As you saw, the helmet kicked back, so it wasn't able to do exactly what it would want to do. I mean, to cut in better. But we should get a close-up of this. That almost went through the metal. We'll actually try this on some flatter plates, like that you might hit a cheap plate, or if somebody's wearing some kind of lamellar plate on the body, but those give as well. This is the only kind of thing I can think that would be fair to test. It's 16 gauge, this is 1.5 to 1.7 millimeters within that range. And a lot of Viking helms and early period iron helms were only about that gauge on the plates. Now the bands, like on the Joerge helm, you see really heavy, because they used early Viking age, they used Spangen style or banded helms. You see really heavy bands, and the ocular is almost, I mean, it's about 12 gauge, it's 3 millimeters thick, the ocular. This one isn't, but I'm saying that yes, this is possible for a helm to have about this thickness. So let's go ahead and try it again. Oh! We got what we wanted, and I think we proved the axe does what I said it could do. I said this axe would be evil on the battlefield. I said it would be horrid and that this would be a fearful axe. I think I was right. I said it could pierce plate, armor, possibly, helms, and it took rings out of mail. In my opinion, this makes this design superior to a lot of broader bladed axes that would be better against cloth, what would you say, hardened leather, if anybody did wear that. I think that the force that's transferred behind this smaller axe head is superior in that way, but I think if you were fighting somebody who was wearing lighter armor and you got the axe stuck in him, that might not be very good either with the elongated head, but I think the wound would definitely do its toll on it. This is beautiful. Cannot believe what we got in here. Let's see what's up underneath. Was he wounded? That's what we got to figure out. I would say he was.
Only barely. It'll be a bleeding.
He would be bleeding. That's all what's wrong with him. He's got a bleed. So I'm sorry, but if you got hit in the head that hard.
Scalp wounds bleed badly.
Right, but that would put the fear in you if your helm got cleft into. And this looks very much like the sagas where they describe helms actually being cleft into and stuff.
It's not only that, but you'd be fighting a lot worse off because there's a potential for that blood to get in your eyes as well. Right,
we shall try it again. Yeah, let's give it another hit and see what happens, if that was a fluke or we'll actually make it through. Oh! That was kind of my fault. The axe hit and turned. I can see it. It wasn't a square on hit. So we didn't get as good as we got earlier. Try more in this region again. Oh! Not good. I hit the same spot. So I cut steel and wounded him with the piece of bent-in metal, but that's the same spot, so that doesn't really count. Maybe I should come from this angle. Oh! Ah, that time we cleft into the top of the helmet, and we'll show that in a second, but that actually went into the steel. Try again on the side. Ooh. Got another really good cut into it where it started to cut in, but it didn't go clean through into the head. Good blow though, good blow, almost through. Try something more square on with it. Make sure his helmet is fitted properly. Try something right about here. Let's just see if that does anything. Oof! So it's not a fluke. We're cutting through metal. It's not a fluke. We are cutting through metal. The other side had a little niche in it where it might have helped aided in it cutting in, but this one actually went through the steel. And remember, this is about 1.5 to 1.7 millimeters thick if you go by millimeters. Gauges, it's considered 16 gauge, and it is mild steel. Slightly hardened with the modern process of working it. Let's go ahead and take this off. I'll show the damage this is doing. I'm not going to just keep it up because I don't see the point. This would definitely unnerve the man on the field, whether he was killed by those blows or not. We'll see if he was wounded. And yes, he was. Did it go through his skull?
No, It hit the skull.
Now remember, there's no arming cap here. They could have an actual arming cap. Yeah, you can see daylight through there, I believe. And it definitely went into the head. You can see it went through the strapping. That's going through the strapping on the inside.
I saw it where it cut the strapping.
And this, let's show the other ones. That's that one. This is where it almost cut through the metal. See, it's actually cutting the metal. It has that much force and it's that sharp of edge. This was where it had a little niche here that kind of aided in it going in, but it still didn't injure him that bad. This one hit the seam, which of course the rigid metal is easier to cut into, and you can see it cut in. This one cut in, but not very deep. You can see it actually pierced through the metal. This one, I would say, is the good example of what this could do against that gauge metal if you were hit in the battlefield. And who knows, with a tremendous amount of rage and force, you might get a little bit further in, and yeah, that might have been the end of him. You never know. Depends on how his helmet was strapped and how it was on his head. I think this was an excellent, fun video.
We're going to have to rehammer that out again, aren't we?
Oh, most certainly. And I'll bet you're not. Well, I don't know. This, as bad as this one is, we might keep. Yeah, this one we might not hammer out. We might keep it as a memento to posterity. Still, I'm amazed. Best we've gotten from an axe. Lower profile axe heads, like Francesca, and the Slavic axes, and this one that most likely was a Varangian Guard members from Novgorod, are able to pierce better, because if you hit point first, or axes that are set up to hit point first, have a better chance of cutting through anything, any type of material, but specifically hard to cut materials like this steel 16 gauge helm here, about 1.5 to 1.7 millimeters thick. So I'm highly impressed with it. He's alive. He would have been knocked out probably with this blow here. We've reassessed that this damage here to his head, with the helmet hitting his head from that much force and compressing the straps without an arming cap or anything, most of these blows, even the ones that cut into his head, there'd have been enough force with the helmet going to impact his head, even though it just cut through the flesh and didn't make it through the bone. This man would have been down from any of the blows that you saw cut through the helmet, except for the one on the very top possibly, and this one up here. These two blows here, and even these, most likely, this one here I think is the one that damaged his skull, would have taken him out. Now, if the helm was strapped better, if he had an arming cap, all things like that are variables, so no one's saying for sure it's an instant kill. But these type of axes are very much like using a military pick, but as you notice, I didn't get stuck in the helmet. Now, if you notice one video I did, I used the Kusari Gamma. I got stuck in a head like this and was unable to retrieve it. In a battlefield, that could spell your doom. They're making a smaller profile axe,
I don't think you're getting
a lot of heft like this one. Makes sense, because you're not going to get stuck in something unless you
take a skull and open it
most
properly.
likely might rip out of the flesh. Unless you hit somebody and get it stuck in a person through cloth or something in leather, I don't think through mail and helms you're going to get stuck, but you're going to do a lot more damage and focus your energy to its maximum effort. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Special thanks to Ulfar Rolfinson for sending us the artifact that this was based on, and special thanks to Adrian Watson for reproducing it. I think he did an excellent job. It might have some slightly different characteristics, but I think it's unique in its own right and works in the same manner the other axe would. Anyway, as always, farewell.